History is usually told as a complete story, clear, ordered, and finished. But sometimes objects are found that feel wrong for their time, not impossible, just unexpected. And once you notice them, a simple question begins to form. What if the timeline we trust isn't as complete as we think? Because this wasn't a single mistake. Modern history rests on a single organizing principle, that human progress moves forward in clear, predictable stages. First come stone tools, simple, functional, limited. Then metalworking, allowing for sharper tools and stronger structures. Only much later do complex machines appear. This sequence isn't just taught in schools. It shapes how researchers interpret every new discovery. When an artifact is found, it is measured not only by what it is, but by when it is allowed to exist. And when something doesn't fit this progression, it's often reclassified, reinterpreted, or quietly set aside. But some objects refuse to stay silent. In 1901, sponge divers working off the coast of Greece came across an ancient shipwreck. The cargo was familiar marble statues, pottery, everyday items from the classical world. Nothing suggested the site would challenge history. Among the wreckage, however, was a small mass of corroded bronze. It was badly damaged, fused together by centuries underwater, and easily overlooked. Only after the fragments were transported to a laboratory did scientists notice patterns within the corrosion, shapes that didn't belong to random decay. They belonged to something designed. As the bronze was carefully cleaned, circular forms became visible, then edges, then teeth, evenly spaced and precisely cut. These were not symbols. They were not decorative elements. They were mechanical gears. Gears imply more than craftsmanship. They require measurement, ratios, and an understanding of motion over time. Yet no other known technology from this period displayed anything close to this level of mechanical planning. And this device wasn't a simple mechanism. Further study revealed the object's true purpose. The mechanism could model planetary movement, predict eclipses, and track complex astronomical cycles with astonishing accuracy. It wasn't experimental, it wasn't symbolic, it worked. In effect, it functioned as a mechanical system built to measure and predict time. But the precision required to manufacture it should have demanded tools, standards, and engineering methods that would not exist for nearly 2,000 years. Which means the knowledge didn't arrive early. It was already there. If advanced knowledge truly existed in the ancient world, it should have left behind a clear trail. Workshops where complex devices were built, instructional texts explaining their design, records showing how the technology evolved over time. But none of that has been found. The Antikythera mechanism appears in history fully formed, with no prototypes, no developmental stages, and no gradual refinement. It doesn't represent a technological journey. It represents an arrival, and that raises a troubling question. What if this knowledge didn't originate here at all? The same problem appears again in ancient cartography. Several old maps show coastlines drawn with remarkable accuracy, not symbolic sketches, but measured representations. They follow consistent scale and orientation, suggesting careful observation and calculation. Even more puzzling, some of the regions shown were officially discovered centuries later. To create maps like these, ancient cartographers would have needed reliable navigation methods and shared geographical knowledge. Yet no record of such a system exists. One detail on these maps continues to unsettle researchers. Several appear to depict Antarctica, not as a frozen continent, but as exposed land. Modern geology tells us Antarctica has been covered in ice for thousands of years. Mapping it accurately would have required visibility and access that should not have been possible. The implication is difficult to ignore. Someone may have known the continent before it disappeared beneath ice. Mapping distant lands is not a quiet achievement. It requires ships, crews, long voyages, and coordinated effort over generations. Such endeavors usually leave behind records, journals, oral traditions, and historical accounts. But in this case, there are none. No descriptions of Antarctic voyages. No legends of global exploration. Only the maps remain, accurate enough to be credible, yet isolated enough to be denied. The knowledge survived, but its journey did not. Viewed individually, these discoveries appear to be anomalies. But when examined together, a pattern begins to emerge. Advanced knowledge appears suddenly, it functions with precision. Then it vanishes. Machines without predecessors. Maps without explorers. Engineering without recorded methods. History does not show steady progress, it shows interruptions. As if civilization has forgotten something. More than once. Across the world, massive stone structures stand in quiet defiance of expectation. Blocks weighing tens, sometimes hundreds, of tons were cut, transported, and placed with extraordinary precision. The joints are so tight that even thin blades cannot pass between them. No mortar holds them together. No obvious tool marks explain how the stone was shaped. Modern engineers can calculate the forces involved. They can model the load distribution and structural stability. What they cannot do is explain how ancient builders achieved this accuracy with the tools history says they had. The structures follow logic, but not the logic we expect. When these sites are measured with modern equipment, the results are unsettling. Walls align to cardinal directions with astonishing accuracy. Corners follow geometric ratios that require advanced planning. Some structures even align with astronomical events, solstices, equinoxes, and star positions. This level of precision normally demands powered machinery, standardized units of measurement, and advanced surveying tools. Yet these structures predate all of that. The stones suggest not trial and error, but deliberate design. Accuracy came first. The tools came much later. What deepens the mystery is how similar solutions appear across distant civilizations. Monuments separated by oceans share the same architectural priorities: scale, alignment, and precision. There is no solid evidence of contact between these cultures. No shared writing systems, no recorded exchanges of knowledge. And yet the ideas repeat. It is as if different civilizations were answering the same questions, using the same forgotten answers. As though the knowledge was inherited, not invented. Within the scientific community, these findings remain deeply divisive. Some researchers argue that ancient people were simply more capable than we assume. Others suggest that key chapters of human history have been lost, erased by collapse, disaster, or time, but no explanation accounts for everything. Each theory answers one question, and creates another. The evidence itself is not disputed. What's debated is how far we are willing to let it challenge our assumptions. The disagreement isn't about facts, it's about meaning. History is built from what survives. But survival is selective. Wars destroy libraries. Civilizations collapse. Knowledge vanishes faster than stone. What remains are fragments. Machines without instructions, maps without journeys, structures without explanations. These fragments do not tell us a full story. But together they suggest one thing clearly. The past may not be primitive, it may be incomplete. Perhaps the mistake is assuming that progress always moves in a straight line. History often teaches us a steady climb, from simple tools to complex systems. But the evidence suggests something less predictable. Civilizations rise, accumulate knowledge, and then collapse. When they fall, their understanding doesn't vanish all at once, it fragments. What survives is uneven. Some ideas are preserved. Others are forgotten entirely. This would explain why advanced knowledge sometimes appears suddenly, not as innovation, but as inheritance. What we call advanced may simply be rediscovered. Time is not a neutral observer. It erases selectively. Organic materials decay, texts burn. Entire libraries can vanish in a single generation. Stone endures. Metal corrodes slowly. What reaches us is shaped not by importance, but by durability. This means the historical record is biased toward what lasts, not what mattered most. We may be judging the past through its leftovers. Science depends on evidence, but evidence is rarely complete. Researchers can analyze what remains, measure it, and test it. What they cannot always do is reconstruct the full context in which it existed. At some point, explanation gives way to interpretation. And interpretation is shaped by what we believe is possible. Our limits may not be technological. They may be conceptual. These questions are not about rewriting history for drama. They matter because understanding the past shapes how we see ourselves. If ancient civilizations were more capable than we assume, then progress is not guaranteed. Knowledge can be gained and lost. What we build today is not permanent. We may be closer to forgetting than we think. Some discoveries do not demand belief. They demand attention. They remind us that history is not a fixed record, but an incomplete one. If you're curious about the unanswered questions buried beneath time, subscribe and continue exploring with us. Because the past may not be as distant as we've been taught to believe.